South Florida, where the temperature was pretty much the same year-round. And we would bring those organisms into the lab, isolate different genetic lines of them, and then test out how much did they reproduce, when did they reproduce, how long did they live, and see if those theories work. Such fruit flies. Weird, huh? Lots of different things happen over the course of my life. Right? And I get to the end of my PhD, and I'm still a little on the fence about, I still like being in charge, right? I don't like doing other people's work, other people's projects. It comes from being a first child, I think. We're used to being in charge. And at that time, in order to get a faculty position in most universities, you had to do 3 more years of postdoc with somebody doing their work. And my new husband then, he wanted to do that because he wanted to be a big Class A researcher. And I was going like, that's for somebody else? Maybe not. Maybe I'll try some other things and see about this teaching stuff. So I actually taught, when he did postdocs, and he did 3 of them, 9 years of postdocs. I taught at Littleton schools wherever he was doing his postdoc research. I took all kinds of interesting jobs. One was at St. Ed's in Austin, Texas, which is a Catholic university. And they had a special program for people returning to college. So it was mostly guys from the computer industry or from military, and women who were going back to school after their kids grew up. So you had to be at least 25 to be in the program. And it was all done by contract courses where we would actually develop courses individually with each person. And I was the scientist. So I taught biology and chemistry and nursing and allied health and all kinds of other stuff for these people. It's really fun. And I learned a lot, right? I kept learning new things about new careers and new other pathways out there. I taught at University of South Carolina when he was there, Benedict College, which is a historically minority institution in South Carolina. I taught at Newberry College, where I was 1/4 of the biology and chemistry department for the 4 of us. 1 chemist and 3 biologists. So I had to teach all kinds of things, including, again, biochemistry, which, remember, I never had. All right, you can teach yourself. And then one day, I saw this for a job at Emory. They had a position. They'd gotten a new grant, and the grant was supposed to create special programs for women and for underrepresented students in sciences. It was to create a summer research program. It was to help faculty redesign their courses to make them more exciting and more interesting, and to make them more hands-on, and to make them designed around research questions instead of dumping facts into your heads. And I went, whoa, that's my job description. Back there in the 60s when I was at the University of Maryland, there were little hints that I would get a chance one day to make a real difference in the world by taking a job where they were asking me to change things. Oh yeah! Right? That was in 1990, so 23 years ago plus-ish. And so I came here, and I have been writing grants to help faculty transform the way science is done and taught. We created a summer research program. We created a bunch of special programs for women and for underrepresented students, for students with disabilities. I get to teach whatever I want, so I get to learn new things all the time. I teach graduate students and postdocs how to teach. And since the departments don't let them teach by themselves, I get to teach all kinds of exciting things. New stuff, like last year I taught with a young woman who's doing a postdoc in the sleep center, and we did a whole freshman seminar on sleep. The biology of sleep, the neuroscience of sleep, all kinds of things about sleep and how it affects your life. I also did a course with a grad student from biology department, 2 grad students from the biology department, called Diagnosis and Development. And we looked at 4 developmental disorders in people and what the biochemistry and the genetics and the developmental impacts of those disorders were. Right? So I got to learn all kinds of new things from them. I taught a course with an MD PhD student. It's called Brewers. And Brewers was one of the most fun courses I've ever done for somebody. Brewers was about the biology, the chemistry, the physics, and the design principles behind coffee and beer. 2 things that I really like. We did experiments, we designed new equipment, we did all kinds of cool things. Taught a philosophy of the mind course with somebody that had was a neuroscience grad student who had an interest in philosophy. So we looked at the philosophy of the mind a few years ago. Lots of stuff like that. So what I did in my wandering long and winding road is kind of make a job that fits me. It's not a straight, regular academic professor position. It's not an MD, like my mother wanted, and I thought I did. It's not a straight research position. It's all kinds of things. But it helps me do things that I think make a difference in the world, right? I tell you this long, winding story because in the planning sessions we do today, and next week, and further on in your career, I want you to remember that roads diverge. Sometimes lemons rain down on you. Get some sugar, add bourbon, whatever it takes. Make something that works out of it, right? But make sure that you know what's in your heart, where your passions lie, and how you can make a difference in the world. Each one of you will do something different. But it has to be something where you know that you're making a difference. That's what gets you up every morning. That's what makes coming to work fun. That's what makes going to school fun, even when it's hard. Right? Because you have something in mind, and you know you're doing something that will make a difference to yourself and to somebody else in the world. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to start with one little video, and then we're going to go into an exercise on finding your own passions. Get out of this thing. And the rest of that just had more stories. I wasn't going to use it. You tell all the schools like mouse is so disconnected. It's really hard. Okay, I think I need to get out of this so I can copy it. Oh. So anybody have any questions about my career while I'm getting this started? I gotta copy it. Questions at all?
I have a question.
Shout it out. Yes.
What was it again that made you not go into psychology?
It didn't look like they were doing anything for people except warehousing them. I'm giving them drugs and keeping them quiet.
Do you think if it was like now how it's all like technology and everything's changed and stuff, you think it would?
I think I might have a different idea, but there's also a lot of evidence that our drug treatments for psychiatric conditions often have as much harm as they have good when not handled appropriately. So I still think I would use the research effort. I think I would be asking the questions, is this the most effective way to treat this disease? I think I would have been over there. Because I think somewhere in me, all along the line, there was this cynical, questioning person. I'm like, no. I know you want me to believe that, but show me more evidence. Right. So I think I'm an evidence kind of person. Yeah?
Do you continue to do research here at Emory?
In some ways, but I'm not asking research questions. I don't have a lab open. What I do have is I have 2 of the undergraduate research programs, right? So that means that every year, so like right now, there's 90 students on campus in a summer research program, right? Half of them are from schools all across the nation, and half of them are from Emory. And I get to learn about everything they're doing, and they're in biology, and they're in chemistry, and they're in physics, and they're in neuroscience, and they're in developmental biology. So I get to learn new stuff all the time. I'm not actually conducting the questions, but I'm helping them figure out how to ask questions. I teach an intro to research course where I introduce students into what kinds of research are going on here and how would you get interested in it and what would you like to go and do. We have a research for credit and an academic year research program for first and second year students, and then we have some other things for later students. And so I work with the students and with the graduate students that work with them too on how to ask questions and how to read the literature and how to figure out new questions to ask and how to maintain your creativity. So in a sense, I get to do way more research than somebody who focuses on one question, because I get to help hundreds of people do research. Which is actually in a lot of ways more fun. Because I don't have to do the tedium. I don't have to run jobs every day. I don't have to go in and count the software pages. I get to help other people figure out how to ask questions about that. It's actually way more fun.
How did the theory with the fruit flies turn out?
So it actually turns out, thank you for asking that. It actually turns out that there really are differences between those populations. And that within a population of fruit flies from a steady state environment, much less variability in how they reproduce over temperature, kind of a straight line response. But in the ones from the variable environment, there were some flies that were really good at low temperatures, and some that were really good at high temperatures, and some that were really good at medium temperatures.